I see. Well, hello, chaps and chapettes. Game Chap and Birdie here with the top 5 things you must know about the newly announced Nintendo Switch.
Yes, indeed. Previously codenamed NX, of course.
That's right. This is the Nintendo NX. We now know it's called the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to let you play full console-powered games at home, then take them with you on the move. That is quite amazing, I have to say.
Right, okay. So point number 1 then. This thing, you can play it at home.
Yes.
Whatever game you're playing. Then somehow you sort of then can take the game away with you.
That's
and play
right.
it whenever, down the shop or wherever, on the train, whatever.
Exactly, and you can do that by removing the Nintendo Switch from the dock which connects it to your TV. Okay, there's a dock you plug in, and once you've taken the Switch off of that dock, it changes into handheld mode and features a HD display for your mobile gaming needs.
So the Switch is this sort of HD display thing itself, is it?
Yes, it's a sort of box there. It's got these buttons on the left and the right, and in the middle you have this HD screen, so you can enjoy, of course, the latest games in HD on the Switch.
Right, so just looking at that screen looks rather modern. It's modern, it's thin,
Yes.
It looks pleasant to the eye, I suppose.
That's right, they're definitely going here for that wow factor, which I think the Switch does have as a new piece of technology. And as I said, in addition to be able to play games on your TV at home, you'll be able to just pick the Switch up and go out on the move, which is, of course, the first point. The second point here is that the side pieces on either side of that screen you can see are actually removable controllers called Joy-Cons.
Right, okay, so we've got controllers stuck on the side of this thing.
Yes.
Which look to me to be quite small.
They're quite small, that's right. Now, when you slide them off of the handheld unit, they can be used as one controller or two. So you can actually play the Switch on the go, either just by yourself or with your friends by giving your friend one of these side piece controllers called Joy-Cons, you see?
Right, okay, so, it looks, the way they're attached on the side there, I'm sort of thinking, like for the PS Vita sort of thing. It looks like that. It's sort of all in one length.
It is.
But you're saying you can pull those off the side there.
Yes.
But do you have to pull them off the side? Or can you play it, with them attached?
I don't think you have to pull the controls off the side. Of course, it's early days as yet, but certainly you can remove those controls, as I said, and pass them out to your friends, etc. and so forth. Now, also, as you just said there, Bertie, the controls are quite small, but Nintendo have covered this because you'll also be able to buy an accessory called the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. Of course, we had the Wii U Pro Controller, now we've got the Switch Pro, which is, of course, more like a traditional controller with chunky buttons, etc. and so forth, and you can actually hold it in your hand without having to use these small Joy-Cons that come off the side of the main machine.
Okay, so they've got this thing where you can pull these things off and play. You can give one to your friend, maybe. He can play as well, is that right?
That's right.
Got a multiplayer?
That's right. Yes, indeed there is. This is, of course, part of point 2 here. You actually have the option to use local multiplayer functionality between Switch consoles. So if you've got a Switch and your friend has got a Switch and you're in the same room together, you can play local wireless multiplayer just like you could with the 3DS.
Okay, so this must have some form of communication in it somewhere.
That's an interesting theory, of course, yes. Does it talk back to the Switch at home, or does it have its own built-in processor? We don't know as yet, but one thing's for sure, you can certainly play these HD games on the move. Now, speaking of games, this brings us to the third point, and this is very exciting, old chap. Right. We have here on the Switch a brand new Super Mario game.
Okay, so they've got a new Super Mario. Now, for me, just personally speaking, that's not that surprising, really. They had to bring something out with it, didn't they?
So it seems Nintendo here are bringing out the big guns at launch, or at least with the launch trailer. We've got Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now we have a confirmed Super Mario game. And right now, the talk of the town is this looks to be in the style of the Super Mario 64 or Super Mario Sunshine games, or possibly Super Mario 3D World, which is quite exciting, I have to say.
It certainly does look to be that way, if that is the case. I mean, he's running around there and in that 3D sort of Mario 64 environment.
Well, yes, we don't fully know exactly what format it's going to take, but one thing's for sure, this is a fully 3D Mario adventure, and it's brand new, and that alone is very exciting. So
okay, so any
yes.
idea when that game's coming out?
Of course, no, we don't actually know. We have no idea when this game is coming out. We've only seen some very short footage, but Nintendo did purposely put that in the trailer to say, yes, folks, we do have here both Mario and Zelda at launch. We can check both those boxes. They're obviously bringing out their big guns here because they want this launch to have the maximum impact.
Well, yes, you say at launch. I mean, we're presuming that it will be at launch.
That's a very good point. We actually don't know. It might not be at launch, but certainly we can see those games on the screen in front of us now, so we know they exist. Although I have to say the Mario game does look like it could be in the early phases. We're not yet sure, but more news on that later, no doubt. Now, also, speaking of games, there's going to be games, this is point number 4 now, by the way, brought over from the Wii U, like Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon. But these, so-say, ports from the Wii U are not just straight ports. They're actually going to have new features.
new features for... Okay, what sort of new features is the obvious question, isn't it? What are they?
If you're eagle-eyed and very sharply observant, you may have spotted in the launch material that actually King Boo is now featured for the first time in Mario Kart 8 on the Switch version, and also there appear to be 2 items in the player's inventory as opposed to just 1, which of course is how it was before in previous Mario Kart games. You can hold 1 item and drag 1 behind you, can't you?
Yes, you can. Yes, indeed. That was a great way of playing the game. So what we're saying here is Mario Kart 8 doesn't have the King Boo at the moment.
No, and you can only have 1 item at a time.
Yeah, in the way you said. But they're going to introduce this, it looks like, we think,
yes,
for the NX version or the Switch version.
The Switch version, yes, will have these new features. We can also, therefore, extrapolate and presume that there may even be more new characters in Mario Kart 8 and possibly more courses, etc. and so forth. Also, Splatoon seems to have better graphics and a slightly different style, so we can be sure Splatoon will have some changes too. And of course, the big one there, the big fish, Super Smash Bros. Could also, and this is just conjecture at this point, but it could have new characters and stages too.
Yes, we don't know that. We're just sort of saying it. But the thing is, it looks like they're going to use this as a way to get people, obviously, to buy the console.
That's right. And of course, it does give them access to quite a large launch library. They're basically taking the best Wii U titles and saying, hey, look, these are for Switch now as well. You'll see, you've got Breath of the Wild, you've got Mario, and you've got all those titles behind, backing up the Switch. So it's quite a good idea there. Now, also, if that wasn't enough, third-party publishers, here we are on point 5, third-party publishers like Bethesda will be putting games like Skyrim Remastered Edition on the Switch.
Okay, so that's fairly new, isn't it?
This is pretty big. It's the first, you know.
Well, no, because we had Batman and things on the other consoles, didn't we?
Well, I mean, we had Batman Arkham Armored Edition on the Wii U, but this time we've actually got Skyrim, that legendary game, for the first time on a Nintendo console, the Switch, and also other publishers such as Activision, EA, Ubisoft, Sega, Konami, and many others have also announced their support for the Switch.
Okay, so Nintendo, the boys at Nintendo have been smart enough then to gather around their sort of competitors, if you like, and say we'd like to get involved in this as well, and they've had the sense to say okay, because obviously they think it's going to make some money, I suppose.
Well, yes, I do think always publishers will look at Nintendo and they'll say, well, what's Nintendo currently doing? And since they've got a brand new console, it makes sense business-wise to see how this is going to go. So you have to remember, of course, that just because they've announced their support up front like this does not necessarily mean they're going to be sticking with the Switch until the bitter end. But that, of course, really depends on how popular the Switch is going to be. I mean, in the trailer there, you've got depictions of people taking the Switch around with them, plonking it down on the floor, playing in the middle of a game there, just starting up the Switch, just unprompted, if you will, and having a go on the Switch. They're really trying to market this as a new mobile killer piece of hardware, like the iPad or the iPhone or something like that. But I mean, Bertie, do you think this is really going to take off like those giants of mobile industry?
No.
No?
Yeah, I mean...
That's your answer, is it? You don't.
It might do, but the thing is, you see, I mean, I'm looking at that. Point number 1, the actual thing they carry around with them.
Yes.
You know, I mean, people carry around iPhones, they've got their iPads and things.
Yes.
And you've got to ask yourself, you know, I mean, here comes the guy with his sort of NX thing. You know, is it going to really break into that market and be big? Or maybe that isn't the problem. Maybe it doesn't matter anyway because people say, hey, I don't care. I just want to play my Mario games or my Nintendo games on the move like this. So this lets me do it, and it's just okay.
I'm going to just chip a point in here from the side that perhaps people may not have seen, and that is that we actually have a confirmed Super Mario title, Super Mario Run, on the iOS platform. Okay, now what we have to hope is that owners of Apple devices won't say, well, you know, I can get the Nintendo Switch for Mario games, but I've already got Mario on my iPhone, so what do I want that? Why do I need to buy that as well? You'll see, that's the problem. That's the potential one issue I can see there.
Well, yes, I can't see them bringing out the games on both, you know, mobile as well as their...
Oh, no. No, I think what Nintendo are hoping is for people to get a taste of Super Mario on the iPhone and then say, wow, I can get these amazing Mario and Zelda games on the Switch, and all I have to do is just, pay out however much it is, and I've got this Switch, I can take it with me wherever I go in the world. It's wonderful. But I'm not entirely sure whether people are going to be, taking this one up or perhaps hesitating, or I don't know how it's going to go. But one thing's for sure, this is a very exciting new hardware launch from Nintendo and represents a bold new direction for the company, because up until now, all of their consoles have been strictly home-based, but this one is mobile, and that's a very big first for Nintendo, I think.
Well, it is mobile. We don't know exactly how it is mobile. I mean, I suppose that'll come out as we go along. not.
Yes, I'm sure.
But it definitely is. Yes, you can play it on the move, no doubt about that. So why don't we just, all you chaps, chapettes, people, ladies and gentlemen, whoever you are out there listening, what do you think about this console? Do you think it looks good, or do you think it looks, or just, yeah, I think it's great, or no, it's no good?
Will you buy the Switch, Fidels? Tell us what you think, for this hasn't it been Game Chef and Birdie bringing you the top 5 must-know things about the Nintendo Switch, also known as the NX. Thank you kindly for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you once more the next exciting outing. Until then!